some people have been concerned that somehow that everybody sees the white light and everybody sees Jesus in the neighbors and everything's going to be wonderful regardless of what that person might have lived their life as. And some people claim, well, could this be a deception that's trying to make people think that how you live this life doesn't matter? The other question I have for you is, why would it not be somebody's time? If they get to that part and that point, why would it not be their time? If it wasn't their time, why did they get to that point? Any ideas?
Yeah. Great two questions. With respect to the first, I don't doubt the reports of the people that are experiencing this, and I have to tell you, I do not see any demonic entity curing people from pain, taking away all of their emotional pain, loving them intensely, even in the most false kinds of consolation, one can sense the presence of darkness. The demonic spirit is not going to love somebody into a kind of a heavenly state. It's just not within their capacity as a dark being. So no, I don't think it's a deception. However, one has to be very careful about not jumping to that conclusion. In other words, a conclusion that it doesn't matter how you live your life. And why so? Now, as I said, 85% of children who undergo clinical death have a near-death experience, but only about 10 to 20%, probably near to 20% of adults have a near-death experience. And so you have to ask yourself the question, what about the other 80%? I mean, they're clinically dead too. They have fixed and dilated pupils too. They have a flat EEG too. They've also, got an absence of gag reflex too. I mean, they're clinically dead. Their brain is essentially sputtering on almost nothing. I mean, for all intents and purposes, so why shouldn't we think that they too, would have a near-death experience? But they don't. And so, of course, for Catholic theology, we go, well, maybe people who are, destined for purgatory, right, are still, as it were, not going to experience this fullness of the white light or God. Maybe there is something for them to do still, some final purification, which they are going to have to undergo, and they just simply have no experience of it. The second thing to remember too is 1% to 2% of people who do have near-death experiences do have negative ones.
I was going to ask you that.
And the negative ones are dark. Yes,
okay. 1 or 2%,
and they are dark indeed. Yeah, 1% to 2% have negative ones, and they're very dark experiences indeed. So I mean, there's almost an immediate judgment, and of course some of these things are associated sometimes with willful suicides, not suicides out of depression, but kind of a I'll get even with you and commit suicide kind of a thing. Some of these things are associated, but oftentimes it's really hard to make a study of 2% of people. You don't have a significant enough database. But it's the real question is, what about those 80%? Why don't those adults have the near-death experience when the children do have the near-death experience up to 85%? How can we explain that 65% differential? Does it have something to do with our view of purgatory? My personal opinion is it does.
I see.
But of course I couldn't scientifically prove that to you, but I would suspect that it does. And so, and I would suspect that some of those people are going to have negative experiences, or maybe they did have negative experiences which were so unpleasant that they literally repressed them. And that's a possibility that several of the authors of these studies also consider. So that there is unpleasantness about it that's repressed.